time to make another video about Animaljam's economy. The last time I made a kind of in-depth video talking about rares on this game, I think it was with the pink long video, kind of explaining why that shot up in value the way it did. Like the worth of that was like near mountain level, I would say, and it just kind of dropped off the face of the earth. I kind of alluded that to happening in the video, and yeah, that's exactly what did happen. It's about near the same value it was before it kind of blew up in value now. I think it's a little bit rarer than it, you know, in comparison to how it was worth like a year ago. But I think the order of spikes right now is, you know, pretty much how it should be in my opinion, other than the ridiculous downfall of pink longs. In today's video, we're going to be talking about arguably the backbone of the entire rarity system, if you really think about it. Beta items. More referring to clothing betas and den betas. And if you've been paying attention to the economy recently, you have been noticing that they have been taking pretty hard hits on the value of them. There's a variety of reasons for this, and they're probably the reasons that you can think of. I mean, specifically with clothing betas, you know, warm blankets, pirate swords, fox hats, all those kind of items. Other than when they were all first introduced in stores, normally the only way you could get them initially was through the Phantom Portal adventure on hard mode, I believe, and then later on in the Forgotten Desert. And same case with den betas, like cami frogs, orange mats, rocking horses, just for example. They were all available in adventures as well in the Forgotten Desert later on when that adventure was reintroduced. But today I thought we would take a time to talk about this because, well, as I said, a lot of the reasons why these items aren't really worth as much as they were before kind of follow the same reasons as stuff like spike collars and their drop of value in recent months and years. I feel like this is kind of a unique case given how long these items have been obtainable in the game in the ways that I listed. Oh, right. Join the light pink headdress giveaway in the comments below, and additional entries can be found in the description. All you gotta do, subscribe with notifications on, drop a comment, like the video, and you're good to go. Yeah, anyway, enjoy the video. Yeah, let's dive into the first reason, shall we? I mean, every time it kind of comes up, obviously hackers. Look, these adventures that I listed in the intro of the video, they're exploited to hell every time there's something good in them. Obviously, when spikes were in the prize pool, they were mass exploited through these adventures. Animaljam had, you know, their own ways of trying to get around people exploiting these adventures, and while those things are still in place, people just kind of waited out. I'll kind of explain what I mean here in a minute. Specifically with clothing betas, I want to touch on first because this is kind of a different category of its own. These kind of took a really hard hit in value a lot earlier on than den betas. Den betas were kind of more recent example of items actually going down in worth, but with clothing betas, I'm pretty sure it was because one person managed to exploit an adventure and get up to 10,000 clothing betas. Now, what they did with this, I don't think they even distributed them or traded them or even did anything period with them. I just know and was informed of it at the time, and that was like a year or two ago, and that's when I noticed a lot of clothing betas ended up going down in worth because of it. And I imagine this one person probably wasn't the only person to exploit, you know, said adventures to get these clothing betas. And on top of that, you know, judging from the rest of the player base that is getting them legitimately, it's obviously causing a lot of influx of these items. And usually I wouldn't argue that the influx of betas anyway would really have too much of an effect. You know, when you look like a clothing beta or a den beta, you're not questioning how much of these are in the game. Is that going to affect its rarity? Really, in most cases, no. But I think when you hear, you know, 10,000 clothing betas, one person owning that many of them, that's when you kind of start to question it. Because are you really going to pay, like, I'm pretty sure clothing betas at one point were worth like 15 to 20 diamonds, and now I'm pretty sure they're barely 1 diamond from some my shops I've seen around in the game anyway. You know, I guess the mindset behind it is, are you really going to pay 20 diamonds for something someone could essentially generate thousands of? You know, diamonds are kind of scarce a lot of the time. You know, not a lot of people have an abundance of them. They're not going to want to spend that much on an item that someone can just get in a large quantity, if that makes sense. And the same thing goes for den betas. I think more recently, it's only took an effect on den betas because people have taken a more keen interest into just the worth surrounding the game, I feel like. Like I said, these kind of items are usually the backbone backbone of the whole system. You know, usually you're trading up 2 spikes. That's usually a good measurement for even bigger items, but a lot of the time you're trading up 2 spikes from clothing betas to den betas to then spikes. And I feel like it was only inevitable that the value of these were going to be questioned as soon as spikes were getting values changed and questioned as well. Because for as long as I can think of it anyway, a lot of these clothing betas and den betas were worth their stagnant amounts, even when spikes were going up and down in value over the last few years, despite these also being mass exploited alongside spikes years ago. And I guess now that these are the only items that are kind of exploitable in these adventures, that, you know, it's no surprise that these items are going to end up being worth less and less the more and more people exploit these adventures for these items. Now, is it going to be like the same case of spikes where animaljam's going to take a step in and just remove these from adventures? I don't think so. You see, the thing is with how exploiters are doing this, they usually have bots automatically running to get these clothing betas and den betas and whatnot. Like, I've seen it. I've gotten reports of people doing it. I've gotten a report of an actual person doing it and showing me it as well. It's kind of surreal. But from what I know, it's not like something you can do at an extreme rapid rate. It'll take like a few hours maybe to get a good few clothing betas or den betas from doing this. And then they'll have to go through the same kind of process of like selling it in my shop or trading it up if they even want anything of value from doing all that. By the way, in no way am I like glamorizing doing this, okay? People that are doing this are stupid. You know, they're gonna get banned for doing this. But the reason why it takes them that long in the first place is because animaljam did add a timer to the Forgotten Desert on when you can accept the prizes. I'm pretty sure it's like around like 12 or 11 minute mark you can accept prizes, because if you accept them too fast, you just don't get the prizes. That's why I know when I made a video about everything to do with like the Forgotten Desert hacks and stuff, people were pointing out in the comments that they joined a hacked TFD lobby before and they just didn't get the items, because if you accept the prizes straight away as soon as you load into the adventure, you just don't get them. They have that security measurement in place where if you accept the prizes too early, you just don't get the prizes. And I'm sure a lot of what I just said is well known at this point. As I said, this can be applied for spikes, could be applied for bigger items that were exploited in the past as well. A lot of these cases come up and it's usually the same type of thing every time. But I imagine the demand of these items were kind of impacted a lot as well with how much of these items are being exploited now. You know, nobody wants den betas anymore because of this. Nobody wants clothing betas anymore because of this. And it makes trying to trade up in the game a nightmare now. You know, I'll put, you know, the values that the Worth Wiki follows, I'm pretty sure, on screen right now. I'm pretty sure it was like the lowest, like an orange long is like the same amount of den beta worth that like a good long used to be, which is crazy to think about. You know, everybody uses this wiki religiously for value, so of course people are going to follow suit. And I mean, it really does suck that it is this way, because as I said, it still makes for people trying to get into the game again, you know, try to build up worth, it makes it vastly more hard to try to build up value if you don't already have like big items to trade with and make profit with. You know, people are forgetting about the little guys. You know, I'm fighting for the little guys, okay? That's why I make these videos. You know, I think the more and more these adventures are exploited, you know, they're just going to move on to different items to exploit. You know, initially it was spikes, and then they moved on to den betas and clothing betas because that was the next best step. And I'm pretty sure this probably affects like stuff like short spikes. I know short spike risks and, you know, stuff like that are still available in adventures. I imagine the worth of those have been affected as well. I haven't really seen too many people talk about that. I've just mainly saw a lot of people talking about den betas because everybody was having a meltdown about den betas not being tradable and the fact that nobody wanted them like a week or two ago. Like, you know, personally, I used to have thousands of den betas. Well, I still do. This is on an alt account, and I used to be so proud of them. I collected these all back in like 2021 and 2022, and now they're like, it's not as big of a flex as it used to be, because, you know, the average exploiter in the game can achieve what that looks like now. You know, what was the whole point of me trading for all of them if somebody can just do it in like 15 minutes? That's a gross exaggeration, but you know, you get what I mean. But I mean, I think that's pretty much everything to do with it. Hopefully I explained it well and thoroughly, you know, just exploiters and then demands. That's why like a lot of these items do end up becoming worthless nowadays. You know, animaljam is trying different ways to combat exploiters. Don't get me wrong. I just really wish that they were able to find a way just to completely get rid of people trying to exploit Forgotten Desert mainly, because oh my god, this game would be so much better if like there was better prize pools in those adventures. You know, it'd be a lot easier for people to trade up and whatnot. But I imagine they are trying to find ways on how they can like nullify these exploiters without making it worse for the player base. Obviously, I know when spikes were removed, it was a really hard hit on legit players. But you know, the introduction of the timers, as I talked about before, that at least makes it a little less destructive on the game. It's still very destructive, don't get me wrong, but I'm sure they'll find a way that hopefully gets rid of these points, gets rid of these exploiters once and for all. I don't know when that'll be, but you know, I'm just hopeful thinking. You know, I'm not gonna be doom posting in the comments being like, okay, well they should just pull the plug on the game. Like, guys, it's gonna be okay. Animaljam usually gets to these things eventually. You know, the people that are doing these things as well, they will inevitably get banned. I don't know, I'll wrap it up here. I didn't think this video needed like a super in-depth edited video because it's like kind of regurgitated information. Because as I said, most of these reasons are gonna apply to numerous things in the game, unfortunately. But yeah, let's go wrap it up here. Big thank you to the members as always. Mwah, mwah. I do very much appreciate your guys' support on the channel. If you are interested in joining the channel as a member, getting some bonus perks like bonus videos, highlighted name in the comments, you know, emojis, all that cool stuff, just hit the join button down below, and it does give a way to support the channel and me, and helps me keep making these videos. So big thank you to the member crew. Get your name displayed at the end of the videos as well. But yeah, that will do it for me here. I have a few ideas in the works, in the plans for some other videos, so stay tuned for that. But otherwise, yeah, a lot of this, you know, quite unfortunate, but you know, it's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. Like, what are you telling me? The pirate sword on my back isn't worth anything anymore? It's kind of ridiculous, but whatever, man, whatever.